We now go to the second chapter of Balakanda, where Lord Brahma meets sage Valmiki. After the departure of Narada, Valmiki was sitting quiet for a while, thinking on the glorious personage Rama, and his mind was dwelling on Rama. The rishi suddenly realized that it was time for him to perform his morning worship, and so, accompanied by his disciple, he went to the banks of the river Tamasa, which was very near the more famous Ganga. With the Valkala in his hand, the rishi looked all around him, his eyes pleased with the beauty of the surroundings. He took a few steps here and there and smiled to himself as he saw how lavish Mother Nature had been in her bounty in this particular place. Looking up at a tree, the rishi saw a couple of crowncha birds. They were singing happily in their sweet and melodious voices, and they were very much in love with each other. And Valmiki's eyes rested on them with amusement. As he was looking, he saw the male bird suddenly fall down, hit by an arrow. Valmiki saw a hunter, sinful and cruel, who had just shot an arrow at the bird. The bird was lying dead on the ground, drenched in blood, and the female crowncha was wailing piteously, and a joyous song of a moment ago had turned into a mournful dirge. The small bird with its red head was full of sorrow. Valmiki saw the cruel act of the hunter and its sad consequence, and his heart was filled with compassion. He knew what an adharmi the hunter had been, and he spoke in an impassioned voice. "You have been merciless in your action. You killed one of these two birds when they were in love. Your act is unforgivable. You will therefore be denied the long span of life granted to man." Valmiki then turned away from him and left the spot in a hurry. His heart was still full of sadness, and he thought over the incident long after he had gone away from there. He kept remembering the words he had spoken to the hunter, and he repeated them in his mind. He told his disciple, "I was very sad because of what had happened to the crowncha birds, and I spoke some words. Born as they were out of my sorrow, these words are so arranged that they follow a meter. They seem to form a sloka which can even be sung to the accompaniment of the drone of the veena. I am amazed at the sloka which I seem to have composed." The disciple learnt the sloka, and when he repeated it, there was wonder at the formation of it. Valmiki then entered the river and performed the ablutions, the worship of the sun, and all the daily rituals. But his mind was all the while dwelling on the sloka. They returned to the ashram, the rishi in the lead and the disciple carrying the water pot filled now with the pure water from the tamasa. Valmiki entered the ashram and with the other disciples pursued with them the study of the sacred lore. While he was thus engaged, he found the hermitage filled suddenly with a heavenly glow. He looked up and saw Lord Brahma himself standing there. He got up with a feeling of awe and stood with folded palms. He could not speak a word, so overcome was he with the suddenness of it all. He then worshipped the Creator in the proper manner, fell at his feet, and offered respects and a befitting seat. Brahma honored him by accepting his homage and the seat offered by him. After seating himself at the command of Brahma, Valmiki sat silent, and his mind was pondering on the event of the river bank. He could not still grasp the cruelty of the hunter who could deliberately kill the happy bird without any cause whatever. Again, the sloka came to his mind, and he repeated it to himself silently. Brahma smiled at him and, divining his thoughts, said, Do not wonder any more about the words you spoke. It is a sloka, and there is no doubt about it. I willed you to speak thus. I want you to compose a great poem in the same meter. Relate the story of Rama. Narada told you the story of Rama, who is famed the world over for his righteousness, for his nobility, his intelligence, his courage. I will grant this boon to you. You will be able to know what passed in the minds of every one of them. Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, and the many participants in the strange tale. In short, there will be nothing which is a secret withheld from you. You will know everything which happened and every thought in the mind of each of them. In this kavya, which you are going to compose, there will not be a single word of untruth spoken. I command you to relate to the world of men the sacred story of Rama set in the same meter in which you compose the sloka you are thinking about, the Anushtup meter. The world will be the richer for the composition of yours. So long as the story of Rama is remembered in the world, you will also be remembered. Your name will be immortal because of what you are going to do. Brahma vanished from the presence of Valmiki after he had spoken these words. Valmiki was still in a daze, and so were his disciples. They repeated the sloka again and again, and with each repetition, the wonderment grew. Here we come to the end of the second story. Hope you enjoyed this. See you all soon in the next story.